Hey everyone, this is Gina, and I am here to reboot my YouTube channel that used to be called Beauty from Ashes because it was in conjunction with my blog that I haven't written on in a very long time. And so I let the YouTube channel go by the wayside, but I decided to reboot it under the name The House of White because that is the name of my historical fashion education program, where I educate people on what women wore under their clothing from the 1890s to the 1830s to the 1930s, excuse me. So now I want to use this channel as an online museum. So that's what I've decided to do. I had some lovely feedback from followers on Instagram telling me or giving me advice and suggestions about what they wanted to see. And as you can see, I did need to point out my shirt. I heart old crap, and I most certainly do. My best friend Stacy's husband got it for me when they went to, I think it was Picking, Idaho or Picking, Boise or something, and he saw this shirt and he said, "That's Gina," and it most certainly is. I've been collecting antiques for most of my life, since I was, I believe, 8. I used to think it was 5, but it's 8. Anyway, so this channel is going to be dedicated to, for the most part, sharing with you the antiques and artifacts that I've collected, some family heirlooms, a lot of clothing. Many people and many museums show the outside, the beautiful side of clothing, but they don't show the insides. And a lot of times the insides tell a lot about the person who sewed it. Were they in a rush? Did they care about the inside? You know, whatever the case may be, there might be some jelly and jam making videos, and there will be videos talking about my costuming, because I do still costume for the House of White for my programs, and then for my costuming group, We Wear History, I still have to make costumes for that because I gain weight because I'm getting older, so I have to make a new wardrobe. But we are going to segue now into why or how I first started collecting antiques. And I want to show you these pictures of my great grandma. Her name was Hazel Prudence Palmer Chrysiser, and we called her Nonni. And this was her at, I believe it was her 90th birthday party. And then this was her and little baby Gina. Well, I wasn't a baby, I was about 5. Yes, I had just turned 5. This was Christmas, 1976. So this lovely lady was the one who got me started in antique collecting with these Indian head pennies. So there are only 6 right here, but I do have 9. And these were given to me by her. So, you know, a lot of grannies give gifts to their grandkids. And we used to go over to her house, and she would have dollies or coloring books or crayons or whatever for us kids, and we got to choose from them. Well, one day, and I thought at one time I was 5, but Mom and I were talking the other day, and I think I was more 8 to 10. But she had a coloring book and a dolly, but she also had these Indian head pennies, and she asked me what I wanted, and for some reason I chose the Indian head pennies. So that was my start into antique collecting, and of course it just kind of snowballed from there. But thank you, Nonni, for my pennies. And then another thing that I want to share with you is the story of Nonni's sister, of Hazel's sister. Her name was Madeline, and this was her when she was 13 in 1916. And as you can see, this is her with her family. Here's my grandma, or here's my great grandma. That's Hazel, and this is May, and I believe this is Frank, and I can't remember this brother's name. And this is Jesse and Ada, and then here's Madeline. And what had happened was when Madeline was 13, I'm going to read it to you real quick. Out of this newspaper article, it says, Madeline Palmer dies from burns. Clothing of 12-year-old child ignites from red hot stove. Madeline, 12-year-old daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jesse E. Palmer, and then it has their address, received burns Monday morning about 10:30 o'clock, from which she died at 6:30 that evening. Madeline had remained home from school during the forenoon because she was not feeling well, and at 10:30 she reached up over the heating stove to turn a damper when her clothing became ignited from the red hot stove. Her mother was in an adjoining room and heard the child scream as she ran from the house in a frantic endeavor to escape from the flames which completely encircled her. The little girl ran twice around the house, the mother not being able to catch her until she was finally checked by Selden Rulofson, a farmer who was passing, and some neighbors who were attracted by the horrible outcries. Upon being carried into the house, the child's clothing, with the exception of her shoes and stockings, fell from her body. Dr. J.D. Taylor of University Place and Dr. D.C. Hilton of Lincoln were hurriedly summoned, and it was found that the burns were mortal. Codeine and other ointments were administered to allay the pain, which was already partially dulled by the nerves being scorched. The little one was able to converse with members of the family until toward the close of the afternoon. At 6:30 o'clock, death mercifully enfolded Madeline and bore her away to God's dominions in the eternal beyond. So there are 3 articles, 2 speaking of her death, and then this one from the school. And then because this is May, she was living in Nampa, Idaho at the time, and so my great-great-grandma cut this hair, which is really neat. It's the same color as my hair. She cut that off and sent it to Madeline, or to May, as a memento of Madeline. Then when the family got back together, they had this photo taken with a spot for Madeline to be inserted so that they could have one last family photo with Madeline. And then this is, in my family, the famous Madeline cup. It's carnival glass, and I don't know if she had gone to a World's Fair or just a carnival, but it had her name etched in it with the date. So this right here, all of this is what got me started in antiquing and what got me started in my love and fascination of mourning practices of old. So I hope that you come back and see, often, and see the things that I would like to share with you about the antiques that I have in my collection. Now, please know I am not an expert in antiques or the Victorian era because, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the people who were experts in those eras were the people who lived then. So, but I do want to share with you and the insides, and if you have questions, please leave them in comments. If I can, I would love to answer them. Anyway, I would like to thank my son Cody for filming for me. I appreciate it very much, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye.